right? We had this massive shakeout over here, right? You guys know. We fell back down from our high of 104,000. We went all the way down to 92,000, right? That was to drive out all the longs, all the leverage plays, right? That was obvious. But yesterday, we had something similar, but much, much more devious and longer term. I mean, look at it. Yesterday, we went from 100 plus. We reached 94, okay? And then it looked like we were recovering. And then boom, right back down to 94 again. And then it looked like we were recovering. Boom, right back down to 95, right? And now we're back up to 98. So, man, yesterday was a doozy, especially for those that were playing leverage, right? The whales were just hammering and hammering and hammering away at the longs. And that's what we call a proper shakeout, my friends. And why? Why did they do that? Well, let me explain. Let's move forward. Let me explain why that's being done. Today, let's see. Today, the U.S. market is opening up kind of mixed. Kind of mixed. We got a lot of news. Person who killed the United Healthcare CEO is arrested and charged with murder. Stellantis CEO is getting forced out. Okay. MicroStrategy yesterday having a huge loss. Today is going up. I mean, right now it just seems like, MicroStrategy could not be any hotter a few weeks ago. Now Wall Street seems to be like suppressing them, right? Like selling off them like crazy. Even though Saylor is buying more and more Bitcoin every single day, it seems like. More billions upon billions upon billions. His strategy works. And by the way, today is the day that Microsoft is voting on whether or not they're going to be buying Bitcoin, adding them to their balance sheet. I don't know actually when that's going to happen today, but it's going to happen today. But I don't know exactly. I mean, I talked about that yesterday. That would be an absolute game changer, obviously, if it happens today. But I don't know what time. I'm assuming sometime after market, but maybe it's during the day. I don't know. But that's a game changer. But anyways, what I do know is, MicroStrategy has been suppressed by Wall Street for the last few weeks. I don't know. People are getting jealous of MicroStrategy. Jealous of Saylor because of how much Bitcoin he holds now. I don't know. There's something going on there. Or maybe just it's simple. It's profit taking. Because MicroStrategy, honestly, have been the hottest stock of this year, even surpassing NVIDIA's performance. Maybe that's it, right? But regardless, I'm going to continue to load up on MicroStrategy and Bitcoin basically forever because I know both of them will continue to go up. There's also this that's happening tomorrow, CPI inflation. So generally speaking, people are, Wall Street looks at these kind of things, but, we already know that the next rate cut is already baked in. That's coming in about a week, 86% chance of another cut. That's always good. Whenever there's a cut, that actually, jolts the market, right? Gives us a little more boost. So, I think that's going to be good. That's going to be good overall. And that's coming in about a little bit over a week, right? I mean, like this stuff like this can't hurt, right? After this next meeting, we'll have a full percentage point cut for this year alone, right? We had the fastest rate hike ever in U.S. history. We're probably going to have the fastest cut in history too going forward because honestly, the U.S. economy isn't doing all that well. Despite the stock market doing well, it's not a true reflection of how the economy is. So next year, if you're looking at all these dates, January, March, May, June, July, it's very likely every single FOMC meeting we're going to get at least a 25 basis point cut, right? So I don't see that actually stopping anytime soon. So that means in 2025, we may just see this keep on continuing. This is like what's called a liquidity injection, right? Even though it's not actually printing money and putting it back out there, but lowering the rate is essentially doing that. It allows the banks to borrow money at a much cheaper rate. And that's essentially how you get the money flowing, right? So it's good. It's going to be good. Well, that's coming up. And plus, of course, this. If the reading is good, obviously that's going to be good too. So we'll see. We'll see. But going back to the liquidation, yesterday was one of the worst shakeouts or resets we have seen in a long, long time. Since 2021. All right, we have $1.6 billion wiped out. 1.6 billion wiped out. That's a lot. That's a lot. I'll admit, I got caught in the first wave too. So that down to 94, man, that was a killer. That was a killer. But you know what? That's why you have to have dry powder on the side, right? So that you could get back in. You always have to make sure you have that dry powder on the side. But yeah, I mean, yesterday was just an unusual day. You know, it wasn't just that one spike. Like the market makers, the whales, whoever, they just kept going and going and going and going, right? It was like a true whole day shakeout day. It wasn't just a one event, right? And they did that on purpose. That was definitely intentional. And it started on Coinbase. People actually tracked it. It started with Coinbase traders, and they started this thing, and then it was just a liquidation cascading, and it was just cascading over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? It was definitely intentional, and it always happens whenever the market gets overheated, right? And obviously the market is overheated because we just broke through, let's not forget, we just broke 100K, and we went up. This was, right when, just a few days ago when I was attending the Heats game, when Bitcoin shot up to $104,000, right? So, yeah. So whenever the market gets a little bit too overheated, especially on the leverage side, this always happens. I mean, it happens both ways, but it always happens. You get this reset, and then we move on, right? But whenever you have this happen, who benefits? Number one, the exchanges benefit because they collect all the fees. But two, when retail gets driven out, who buys? That's what you always got to think, right? When like the retail gets driven out, retail panic sells, right? Who comes in and swoops in, right? When the retail sets a sell order, who's on the other side placing the buy order?